I'm very passionate about the Desi Hip-Hop scene, and I wanted to make this album. Dan has a really important perspective, and people should listen to him. You know, also in the Indian hip-hop scene, beef has been very profitable in terms of views. Maybe the other side of that coin is that collaboration, falling in love, like so many people in the beginning, you know, with Divine, Krishna, Raftaar, Seedhe Maut guys, who I think are like the dopest up-and-comers. Yeah, in the case of Raftaar, I wasn't able to see him when it came out, but we got in touch. He's so versatile between the singing and the rapping. The only part that's difficult is maybe there's like some politics and there's sensitivities trying to get all these rappers together on an album. Good fucking luck. That's
So Kashmir, is there any artist that you wanted to feature but you couldn't for some reason? Guys, I'm so excited to release the first episode of my podcast जिसका नाम है The All Stars. इंट्रो स्निपेट पे तुमने देख लिया होगा कि ये पॉडकास्ट कितना ज्यादा लेट होने वाला है. कश्मीर ने इसमें अपनी अपकमिंग एल्बम कर्मा के बारे में बहुत डिटेल में बात करी है और उन्होंने और भी बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स के बारे में डिस्कस करा है. सो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल, लाइक दिस वीडियो और कमेंट्स में बताओ कि ये पॉडकास्ट तुमको कैसा लगा. This podcast is going to be one of a kind because we are about to discuss a musical act which is happening for the first time in the history of Indian music. Karam, a hip-hop album that features all the veterans of the Indian hip-hop scene, is about to drop, and we have the privilege of having the visionary behind this monumental project with us. Our guest today is a globally recognized music producer who has been ranked as one of the top DJs by DJ Mag for the past 8 years. With a career that has seen him collaborate with music legends like Snoop Dogg, Selena Gomez, Pitbull, Jason Derulo, Enrique Iglesias, and many more, he needs no introduction. He's also the brains behind Dharma Worldwide, a record label and music publishing company that aims to empower and support music producers from all over the world. An entrepreneur, a musician, and a true visionary. I'm honored to welcome Kashmir to the show. What's up, man? How have you been doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. That was really great. It was almost like you practiced it.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
No, that was so great, man. And you caught so many little things like the cataract stuff,
Yeah.
Space Sound Low, all those songs, and the stuff with Snoop Dogg and Enrique and Selena Gomez. Yeah, you got everything, man. You did a great job.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, we have been your fans since I don't know, like how many years. And not just the cataracts, but when you started Kashmir, it was such a unique sound. Like we heard it for the first time. So much of Indian influence in the international EDM music. So that was something really new to all of us.
Yeah, thank you, man. Obviously, India has been a big part of my life. And when I went into making dance music, I knew that I really had two goals. I wanted to do really cinematic stuff, like kind of what you hear in movies and bring that into dance music, and then bring Indian sounds into dance music. And so the fact that resonated with you, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So you just finished your Ultra India tour, right?
Yeah, I just did 2 shows for Ultra India. We did Mumbai and Bangalore, and they were killer shows. I got to preview some of the new music from the album, which is obviously, you know, what I'm really excited about. That's all I've been working on is this new album. Karam.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I'm really excited to talk to you about the album. But before that, I have to talk about you because your journey sounds so fascinating. Like you started as a hip hop duo. You produced some of the biggest song of the year in those in 2010, 2011. And then you started as an EDM producer, and just within 1 year, you were there in the DJ Mag. And and now again, you are dropping hip hop projects. So, like, can you let us know about your journey from your perspective?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So when I first started in music, hip hop was everything to me. Like the wall in my bedroom where I grew up was covered with all the rappers. So it was Dr. Dre, Eminem, Corrupt, Snoop Dogg, Nas was really big to me, Notorious B.I.G. I don't know if I mentioned Tupac was one of the biggest for me. In terms of producers, Dr. Dre was, you know, like a huge influence. He was just everything to me. And, you know, so I was producing hip hop music and I myself was rapping on it. So I would make beats so that I could rap on it. And I would put it on a CD, bring it to school, make people listen. You know, it's terrible. I mean, the music is so bad, but I would force everybody to listen to it, you know, that I could get their ears. I would make them listen to it. And that was middle school. So I was like grade 7, grade 8. And then going into high school, I met, well, yeah, so not to get ahead of myself, I was just kind of known as somebody who would produce music. And a lot of the people who did music in my school, they were rappers. So they would come to my house, and at my mom's house, I had, you know, just a little ghetto setup of some speakers and a microphone, and I would record people. And, you know, I'd either charge them like a little studio time, or I'd make beats for them. Nobody had any money back then. So you're just doing everything for free, you know, but I didn't care. That's all I wanted to do with my time. Sometimes I would skip school, leave school just to go produce music. And I met my partner, David, who's, you know, in the Cataract. He's the other half of the Cataract. Yeah. And he and I started making music together. In high school, it was like, okay, we had one song that people sort of knew about. But when we got out of high school, he and I both did a year of college. We gave it our best shot. And then we said, you know what, let's try this music thing for real. We took a year off from college. I told my dad and told my mom, look, just give me 1 year and we'll see what happens. And in that year, we made a song that got pretty big on the radio where I was living in the Bay Area, California. And we started to play shows, and these shows would start selling out, you know, 600, 700, 800 kids. And we were like, wow, you know, we've really got some momentum here. So I took David and Dev, who was the singer that I was fostering, and I was trying to get her career started, putting her on songs, singing the choruses, things like that. We all moved down to Los Angeles, and one of the first songs that we produced was Like a G6. So I produced it. David helped write the chorus. Dev sang on it. And these guys came in, the Far East Movement, and I was going to produce for them that day. And I made the beat, you know, really quickly in 20, 30 minutes. And we took this chorus that we have from Dev and we put it on the song. And, you know, just like that, it didn't become popular immediately, but the song was done almost immediately. And then about a year later, you know, once it went to radio, it became a really big success. And from there, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of big pop artists. So before I was mostly a hip hop guy, I had played a little bit with singing and pop music, but now suddenly because of the success of Like a G6, they wanted to put me in the studio with some really big pop artists, hoping that I would recreate the success of Like a G6. But to be honest, my skill set at that time was not prepared for those kind of sessions. It was a bit of a fluke, Like a G6. And I found myself sort of hitting and missing. Some stuff would work great. We had a Selena Gomez single that did pretty well. I ended up getting along quite well with Enrique Iglesias, and I did a bunch of songs on his last album, Sex and Love. But, you know, it was a weird evolution to go from a real hip hop fan and a hip hop producer to now trying to be a pop producer. And I enjoyed it at times, but it wasn't the right fit for me. And when I fell in love with dance music, it opened my eyes to how free the genre of dance music is. Yeah. Like, as opposed to pop music, where you're just trying to get in a room and write a hit every day, almost like a machine. With dance music, it was more about exploring different sounds, and you didn't need hits. You just needed to bring something new and inventive to the table, and then people will come and support you, and it's a really loyal and loving community. So in order to get my foot in the door with dance music, I started ghost producing a little bit. And I had a friend who was a DJ, but he didn't know how to produce music. So I said, hey, I'll help you out. And one of the first songs that we did together got really big. It was called Tsunami. And when Tsunami became so big, I was like, you know what, if I could produce that, maybe I could produce for my own. And that's when I started Kashmir. And thankfully, Spinnin' Records, they placed their faith in me, and I gave them this whole big vision, these cinematic sounds, Indian sounds, everything. And they're like, okay, sure, whatever, maybe, you know, like, all right, give it a shot. And then I just worked so hard in that first year. I wasn't playing any shows, which was a big advantage over other DJs, because other DJs have to manage their time on the road and time home and music. I was just home. I had no shows to play. So I just made so much music in those first couple of years that I was able to explode onto the scene, have some really big dance records, and as you say, show up in the DJ mag pretty hot when I first came in, and then kind of been creeping up since then. But it's in no small part due to India and all the support that I've gotten from India. India's played a really big part.
So you know what, like when we heard for the first time that Tsunami, only when we heard that Tsunami and Karate, when we heard that, so we were like, who is Kashmir? Like, who is this man? And the best part is that you were anonymously producing music for about a year. So nobody knew that who is Kashmir. And in 2015, in Ultra Music Festival for the first time.
Tiesto brought me on stage.
Yes, that's such an amazing moment. And Kashmir, just like, so I'm very curious about this, that we know that you have your roots from Kashmir, but we haven't heard about many new age artists who pick their place of origin as their artist name. So I really want to understand that what kind of connection do you have in your mind with Kashmir? Because it's a very big step that you pick this name as your artist name.
Sure. So, like, growing up, I was always told, you're a Kashmiri Brahmin priest, and didn't mean a lot to me when I was young. I grew up in America. So I was just like, okay, whatever. I wanted to be like other American kids, and I wasn't very interested in my heritage. And when I was in high school, becoming obsessed with music, I told my dad, I'm not sure that I want to go to college. And so he said, I think it would be good for you to go to India, live with your grandparents for a little bit. So he sent me to India to live in Delhi with my grandparents. And, my grandpa was supposed to teach me like how to manage my time with music as a hobby and school as my main focus. So that didn't really work, obviously. But in my time there, I got really close to my grandparents, to their neighborhood, and then showing me all over India, and then hearing the stories that they would tell about Kashmir. So having never physically been there, I was able to sort of dream up in my head what this place was that, my ancestors come from, what my heritage is, and have this idea of this paradise that I could almost paint into whatever I wanted. It was like a fantasy almost. And so when I went to go pick my stage name, I thought about how powerful of an impact, my grandparents, and in that time becoming more familiar with my heritage. And I wanted to pick a name that was, I guess, true to me and said something real about me. But at the same time, it leaves it very open-ended because I didn't have a lot of like I didn't have like a first person account of what Kashmir even was really like. Yeah. It was only told to me through stories, which almost makes it more beautiful, not that Kashmir needs to be any more beautiful, but it existed in a place of my heart that was beyond reality. Right. And that was a powerful inspiration to draw from.
Right. And yeah, that sounds very like fascinating, like, because you had no idea about Kashmir, but you picked that name and you introduced that Indian essence in your music as well. So everything gelled very well together.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's not that I didn't know anything about it. I just hadn't physically been there. Yeah, I just knew from the stories of my dad and from my grandpa.
Kashmir, I just saw the video of Haath Varthi and it is about to release. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel amazing. Bro, yeah, I mean, Stan is a star, 100%. He looks amazing on camera. And I think the video came together really great, man. We put it in the hands of JD. He killed it. JD from Gully Gang. Such an incredible talent, man. So we left it to him with very little time to get it all together, and I think he did a great job.
Yeah, visuals are sick, man. It's looking really cool.
Thank you, man. Yeah, so you got to see it, huh?
Yeah. I saw the snippet of the video.
Awesome.
Yeah. So how was the experience of working with Stan? Like overall, not just about this video, but making the song and all those things.
It was great. I mean, we had one day in the studio together, and we got through two different ideas. I told him, so the album is a concept album. It tells the story of a character who comes from the slums, starts a gang. The gang kind of becomes well known. He has a love story. And then in the end, there's this battle with the rival gang. And our main character, he loses a friend in the process. So it's sort of like a classic gangster story. And for each song, and it's going to be told by interludes throughout the album. And for each song, I wanted the artist to think about a part of the story where they wanted to put themselves in the perspective of the character. And we think about what's going on in the story at that point, and then the song becomes that piece of the story. So with Haath Varthi, it's when he and all of his friends, the character I'm talking about, are celebrating. They just started robbing, stealing, making some money, and now they're in the club, they're having fun, they're celebrating. And Stan was into the idea, put himself right into that mindset, and already had a little idea on his phone, came out with, I would say that chorus was done almost instantly, just wrote his verses. With Stan, more than other artists, there's a little bit of a language barrier because my Hindi is like super bad. And his English is definitely better than my Hindi, but there's a little bit lost in translation there. But it was amazing to see we didn't even need it. Like, I played him the right beats that connected with him, and he would just go. Like, lyrics just poured out of him. It was really beautiful to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this was actually one of my questions that I wanted to know about the theme of the album, but you already shared with us with that. So, so the concept of multiple artist album is like something very new in India. And in Desi Hip-Hop, to be very honest, it's like a dream of every DHH head. Like, we cannot even imagine about this because we have hip-hop is comparatively a very new musical genre in India. And new artists are coming in from very unique background, as you said about Stan. So I wanted to know that how difficult was it for you to stay with the theme of the album and tie a story with artists from such unique backgrounds?
Well, luckily, a lot of the artists were welcoming of concept, because so often you get into the studio and it's just like, here's a beat, write something to it.
Yeah.
When somebody gives you a starting point, it can be helpful from a creative perspective. And I think a lot of the artists really enjoyed being given some context for the song that we're writing and using that as a launching pad to tell a story.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, so that I also noticed one thing, that the title of your album is Karam. And back in 2020, you did events called Karma events, which were a kind of charity shows. Yeah. So I think, I believe there is a connection between some Karam and your roots with India. Is it true? Like, is there something in your head about India and you're trying to give it back?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in this case with Karam, it really is more about what's going on with our character. Like, he, in the story, comes from really small beginnings. He's leaving a broken home, an abusive home, and he has bigger dreams for himself. So he has different things that he does with his friends to make money. Some of them are criminal. And along the way, these deeds add up, right? The things that he's done. And by the end of the story, even though he wants to escape this lifestyle, he can't escape his own deeds. They catch up to him. Okay. So there's an interesting wordplay between his Karam and Karma and how it all comes around for him. And the Karma events were unrelated, but in a way still related. And the K between Kashmir and Karam and Karma is a bit of a thread also. But I wanted there to be that mental connection between Karam and Karma also, to think about how they're related in the context of this story.
Right. So there's this burning question, the very important question, that can you reveal the name of the artists who are included in the album?
I don't want to give too much away, but we already know Stan is a part of it.
Raftaar.
I can tell you, Raftaar. I can tell you about the songs that I've played because I don't want to give anything more than that away.
Just give me one thing. Like, just give me the name of one artist that you haven't revealed as of now, if you can.
Yeah, I'll say Youngster's on it, who I fucking love. Yeah, he's killer, man. His song is one of the best, honestly. Raja's on it, Raja Kumari. We got Riyar Saab is on it. Yashraj is on a few songs. He's incredible. King is on it. Zayden is on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Kashmir, I just wanted to know this, that how did you choose on these kind of collaborations? Because like there are many questions that I wanted to ask about the album. But this one thing, like, because there are so many artists in India, and like you chose on Youngster and Raftaar, so there's a range of artists who are producing very different kind of music. We have Stan also, Raftaar, Youngster, Yash Raj, Raja Kumari, Riyar Saab. So everybody comes from a very different background. So, like, how did you choose on these kind of collabs?
Well, I started out as just a fan. Like I was just listening to as much Indian hip-hop, Desi hip-hop as I could, and falling in love, like so many people in the beginning, with Divine. And then from there, branching out, Krishna, Raftaar, and then the Seedhe Maut guys, who I think are like the dopest up-and-comers. Just kind of making a wish list and then reaching out and seeing who I could get in touch with. Sometimes personally, sometimes through my friends. And in some cases, like there were people who I didn't originally plan on, like Riyar Saab, who end up becoming one of my favorite features on the whole album. Like we just happened to be in the studio in different rooms that day. And I was like, hey man, I love to listen to your music. Can I play you some music? And just happened naturally. Yeah, it just happened naturally like this.
And I've heard the snippet of the Riyar Saab song, and it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. To be honest, all the snippets that I've heard as of now, that's one is my favorite. Riyar Saab and Raja Kumari in the same song.
Yeah. He brings a whole nother level of energy, bro. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So Kashmir, like, how did the process work? Like, I mean, creative process. Does those rappers visited you, or you guys were connecting virtually first, and then you guys were meeting for the song, or how did it work?
Yeah, so most of it took place over 2 weeks when I came to Bombay, and I was working at a Bay Owl Studios. I did most of the recording there, but there were some cases where we did it over online, trading back and forth, sending files back and forth. In the case of Raftaar, I wasn't able to see him when it came out, but we got in touch and we Zoomed together. We caught a vibe. He sent me his inspiration. Is really clear to me why he's so successful. He's so versatile between the singing and the rapping, but also has such a wealth of ideas in his head going on at all times. He was very specific about what kind of track he wanted to do. And so rather than just having a beat already prepared, I had to make something from scratch for him to make it, just right. And I think when people are so specific like that, it's a good indicator of longevity, that they have these ideas constantly running through their head. They're not as reactive. They're very proactive, and Raftaar is very proactive. It was an honor, really, to work with him.
Right. Which one is your favorite song among all the songs?
I kind of fall in love with each song as I'm working on it. The one with Raftaar is absolutely one of my favorites. There's another one with Stan, which is amazing. I would say at the moment, probably the one with Riyar Saab, Raja Kumari, and Yashraj, just definitely one of my favorites to play, 100%.
Okay, so can we expect a music video of this song as well?
I hope so. if I
I
don't
mean,
run out of budget.
I mean, overall, how many music videos can we expect from the album? Like
I
tentative.
think I think there'll probably be 3 would be my
Okay.
guess. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Haath Varthi is coming this Friday, and
Yeah.
really excited for this one. So what happens in India? As soon as we get the first song, we are expecting the second one. So so when can we expect the second one from the album?
Oh God. I'm just trying to get the first song out. You're already talking about the second one. My guess would that it'd probably be like 6 weeks apart would be my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And overall album tentative date, when can we expect this?
We I don't want to say anything and then disappoint. I would say that we're probably not more than 3 months away. Probably less.
Okay. That's cool,
Yeah.
because we are waiting for the album from a very long time. And
Yeah.
hype is very real over here. And
Yeah.
everybody, you know what? Yesterday I went to my saloon, and my barber was talking about this album, to be very
Really?
honest. Yes. And I told him that I'm going to conduct this interview. And he was like, oh shit. And you have to ask all these questions. And you have to, I was like, yes, don't worry. I'll ask all the questions.
What questions did he want you to ask?
First, this is the question: that when can we expect the whole album to drop,
Yeah.
and which is going to be the second video of the album? All these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to say something and then have to walk back on it. We have a plan that's pretty set in place, but India has lots of surprises just with the back end, like getting everything into place. There's complications that naturally arise. So let's just say I don't think it's going to be any more than 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And Kashmir, there is one thing. So this is a sophomore album as Kashmir, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it is going to be a hip hop album. So
Yeah.
So there's this thing in my head that your regular fans, who are your EDM fans, is going to be
Yeah.
something very new for them. So I mean, aren't you scared that they might not relate with the music, or have you maintained the balance between the EDM and the hip hop aspect to suit all the ears?
No, there's almost no EDM aspect to this album. It is a straight hip hop album. But I can't create out of fear, right? You won't do it well if you're doing it because you're scared, or if you're making music because you think, well, these people will like it, and I'm not going to make the song because these people won't. I'm very passionate about hip hop. I'm very passionate about the Desi Hip-Hop scene, and I wanted to make this album. And I know that there is a large part of my fan base that is not going to relate to it, probably not going to listen to it at all, and that's okay with me. I'm making this for India and for the Indian diaspora, around the world, and that's enough for me. If I tried to do some sort of crossover thing, EDM, or do a bunch of English, it would water it down, and I'm not interested in doing that. So I just want this album to be what it is, which is a DHH or IHH album, and that's it. And I want it to be the best version of that it can be.
Wow. Because you have such a big global impact, and I know that your music is heard all over the world. So I'm sure that this album is going to have a huge impact globally as well, because people from all across the globe are going to listen to these songs, and then they might explore the rappers from India as well. So, what do you think that how this album will impact the Indian music industry and Indian hip-hop industry globally?
Well, I would love to believe that it would turn some eyes to Indian hip-hop, Desi hip-hop. I have my doubts, to be honest. somehow the world is become a little bit more accepting of like Spanish music. America has become more accepting of Spanish music. Maybe in other countries they're used to, some things crossing over from India, but it's so rare. Like Punjabi MC, he had his song, but really since then it's not been many. I'm not sure. I would love to believe that this album could help break that wall down. But it's can I imagine like some like black guy in New York driving down the street banging some Hindi fucking rap song? Like, no, I can't. I can't, but I think that there are elements of it that appeal to everybody, and that's when you can see some crossover. But I'm not making it for that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not making it for that.
Yeah. But Kashmir, you know what? My personal opinion that because the audio elements that you include in your songs is so international that even though when people don't understand the language of the song, they might bump into it. They might bump to it. So
yeah.
I mean, I have this hope in my heart that these songs are going to go global, and we might see some next, like we have Spanish artists, like some big Spanish artists. I think we might see some Indian artists going globally as well, as big as those Spanish.
I think it could definitely happen. I mean, there are guys so clearly with potential like that, like King, even Armand Malik. I think there are guys who really have that crossover potential. When it comes to just straight up rappers, if I'm being completely honest, it's just maybe living in America specifically, because America is a bit xenophobic when it comes to other languages.
Yeah,
it's hard to imagine, but I do hope for it. Yeah, I do hope for it.
Yeah. I'm sure that after listening to your whole album, if somebody would spend time to your album, it's going to create some impact in the mind of the listeners.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think that there are tracks that whether or not you understand it, you can absolutely bump to. Like, yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah. And Kashmir, so you are like one of the biggest international producers that is popular in India, and you are taking this step, such a huge step, because you are the first person who at least thought of this idea that I should collaborate all the DHH into one song, Indian hip-hop rappers in this album. So how do you think that this might influence other artists as well to do something like this? I mean, overall, how do you think that this will impact Indian music scene?
Well, there are maybe some divides in the scene, meaning, people who stay on their side and people stay on their side. And when you get them together, you realize they all are just very passionate about hip hop. I don't think there really needs to be much of a division at all. There's really just a division about talent, like who's killing it, who has the best bars, and hopefully it inspires more collaboration and people see what benefits arise out of people coming together. I mean, also in the Indian hip-hop scene, beef has been very profitable in terms of views. But maybe the other side of that coin is that collaboration could be very profitable, not just in terms of money, but for the fans to benefit, for the fans to be more fulfilled by seeing their favorite artists collaborate with one another. But yeah, for anybody trying to get all these rappers together on an out, good fucking luck. That's all I can
So actually, I was thinking about that.
Be my guest. You be my guest.
First of all, like, how did you get this idea that I have to do this? What was the inspiration? And because it is such it's like putting an elephant into a fridge. It's so big, it's so tough, it's so difficult to put all the artists together, yet stay to the theme and knit a story and produce and get this thing work. So like, what's your take? How was the process? And did you enjoy it, or it was very tough to do all this thing?
Oh, the creation of the music was very easy.
Okay.
In some cases, getting somebody into the studio was difficult. It took reaching out and finding the right channels to reach the person. But it wasn't very difficult, getting in there. They're all so talented that within a day, with each artist, we were able to create something that I was really happy with. And then you go back and you produce it, and producing is when comes all the fine tuning, and that part is challenging to sometimes find the direction that makes the song complete. You try different options, but that's, I'm used to that. The only part that's difficult is maybe there's like some politics and there's sensitivities, and I think I came into this project thinking, I've made a name for myself in dance music. I want to make this hip hop album. I'm going to come into the scene. I'm a respected producer, and hopefully everybody's going to see that and want to make a song with me. And it was true to some degree, but there was some skepticism, and understandably, like I haven't done hip hop in a while. And, there's politics and a way that it all works, and the reason that people stay over here and some people stay over here, and that I had to become acquainted with and to understand, like some artists don't get along with other artists, and, things like that. And I was perhaps a little naive in the beginning to think, hey, everyone's just going to want to get along and be part of this album, and there's going to be nothing complicated about it, but the song creation was not complicated at all. But there were other things besides the music that I had to get a better understanding of.
So I remember there was a live stream by MC Stan, and he also said the same thing, that all the big rappers in India are beefing together, and they don't even realize that if we all come together, how much is going to benefit the scene overall. And
Stan said that.
Yeah, Stan said that, I think 2 years back. 2 years back, he said that in a live stream. That we can't even imagine, if we see all the big names on the same stage together in one night, that the kind of impact is going to create in the music industry is going to be huge.
Yeah. I think he's right. Somebody like Stan comes onto the scene, and he's not weighed down by all of the pre-existing issues. He looks at it with completely fresh eyes, and I think that's why he connects so well with the young kids. That's why he's become as popular as he has. And I think Stan has a really important perspective, and people should listen to him. Stan has a really good idea of what connects with people, what's going to look good, what's going to sound good. He's kind of a voice of the new generation. Not kind of. I mean, he is. He is the new generation of hip hop, and yeah, I completely agree with what he said.
Right. So Kashmir, is there any artist that you wanted to feature but you couldn't for some reason?
Yeah.
So are there many artists, or there's just one artist? There are a couple of artists like that.
There's a couple. Yeah. Just a couple. But
okay, so
it happens, shit happens.
Yeah. So it's because of all the politics stuff that you were talking about before.
Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you never really know, You never really know. Sometimes songs just don't work out, and that just is what it is, Yeah, it makes me sad, but I'm so happy with the music that has made it onto the album that
right.
That I cry and then I let it go, and
no, you know what? But Kashmir, you know what? I'm really telling you as a DHH fan that I mean, I know that you have all the idea that how much of an impact it's gonna create, but telling you as a DHH fan, it is a dream come true for all of us, this album, because really something like this, we have always seen collabs, and we were so happy that one artist collabing with the other one. But an album which features everyone is something very new. And I thought that is not going to happen. To be very honest, in the beginning, I was like, no, this is some kind of fake news that's spreading over the internet. But then I saw your tweets and how every other artist was replying to your tweets, and how you were connecting and they were posting photos. And I was so happy to see your photo with Youngster. And I was like, that Kashmir is not just picking up artists who are already very famous, extremely popular, but he's also picking the raw talent, the real talent of the scene, right? So I mean, that's a very big step. So like, what was in your mind while you were picking the artists that let's just go with the talent? You listen to their songs and then you finalize them, or what was in your mind?
I knew I wanted it to be a combination of not just the biggest, most obvious guys, but also some of the extremely talented guys who have not gotten the shine that they deserve quite yet.
Wow.
Like, still doing his thing. Youngster is still doing his thing. I mean, I think a lot of people know about him, but like that, you know, when you see somebody that's lyrically that dope, you get excited to produce a track for them, you know, and being excited was the whole reason that I took this crazy step to come to India and make a whole album out here that, as you said, is going to throw a lot of my other fans for a loop. But I did it out of that passion. And so working with artists that I'm passionate about is the first and foremost thing in my mind as I'm making this. Yash Raj is another one I think is just so consistent and so talented. Any beat that I give him, I know he's going to rip apart. He's featured more than anybody on the album, I think. Hanumankind, he's on there too, kills it. So, you know, these are guys that they're big in the sense that I think they're fairly known. But you know, maybe they're not the same kind of household name, but it's really about who's going to rip the beat, you know, and who's going to help tell the story, which is so important to the album. And that thread of the story that connects it all together, I need the best storyteller available to do it, whether you're big or you're small. It's really important to me that the story comes across as well. So a lot of those guys, you know, really took it seriously and helped tell the story. And, you know, we're all coming together for a bigger purpose.
Right. Yes. So since you talked about Hanumankind, I mean, he really brings in that international flavor, right? So, like, can you tell us more about the song in which he's featured? Like, how it's going to be kind? Like I think that can be one song which can be very popular outside India as well. Because
true. That song starts with his verse English, chorus is in English, then Yash Raj comes on the second verse, and then for the ending we have these like gospel singers that sing for the ending of the track. It's really cool. And they I mean, Hanuman is just such a amazing, energetic dude that kills it. I mean, it helps that I can also understand everything that he's saying. So it was a nice session for me because, you know, I'm like really getting into it. And you know, so I guess your question was just tell me more about working with him. I mean, just so full of energy and ideas. It's a joy to watch him, man. Seriously. He's like the English rapping version of Yash Raj in terms of like appreciating their lyricism and their consistency, their delivery.
Wow, awesome. So, Kashmir, do we have any producers featuring in this album as well?
Yes. I'm so glad that you asked me that.
Yeah.
So there's a track I worked on with Stunna. There's a track I worked on with Karam. There's a track that with Haath Varthi I did with Phenom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to have that like ballet funk vibe, and he's the master of that, bro. Like he did some stuff with the drums that I had to look at the drums. I was like, how is he doing that? Like, that's crazy. The timing and stuff, the swing that he does. He has just such a intuition for groove that's next level. Like what he did with Mirchi, same thing. Like the groove on that one was crazy, and I wanted to have some of the Mirchi vibe also in Haath Varthi.
Right.
So he helped with that. And as far as other co-producers, I might be missing somebody, but I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So Phenom, we have seen like he his magic with all his songs. Even if the beat is very simple, is gonna catch your ears for sure.
Yeah, bro. Like, and he's working on an album that he was playing for me, and his album is crazy. A lot of people don't know that he raps also, bro. Like, he raps and he does like melodic rap singing, and he's good, man. He's got a raspy voice, like very unique voice, and the production is on point. I think people should really start looking at him like an artist and not just a producer.
Nice, nice. Yeah. So we have seen Phenom rapping as well in few of the songs. Yes, he has done that before.
Yeah. Like he featured on Mitchie also, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But with this album, I think it's going to take it to another level for sure.
Right. So Kashmir, what do you think? Like, what do you want fans to take away from this album?
Well, I really want them to take away a story, to see the songs as standalone for what they are and to enjoy the songs, but to listen to the album and hear the arc as we sort of guide you with these interludes of this kid, where he goes, his ambitions, and how it all ends up for him. And I think it adds a really cool gravity to the songs when you hear them in the context of the story. So my hope is that people will listen to it from front to back and get a feel for the art that it is, the story that it is.
Yeah, right. So right now, the kind of audience we have in Desi Hip-Hop now, so we love to understand the album. Like every single listener in Desi Hip-Hop, like who is into hip-hop music, Indian hip-hop music, we always try to dissect the album. We try to understand the story, what is happening, what was the hidden message behind the song and everything. So I think that this album is going to be one thing that everybody is going to spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah, and I hope so. And that's a really beautiful thing, because it used to be that way for hip hop in the US. Yes. And I think over time it's become a lot more single driven, and albums are often just sort of a compilation of different songs. Right. But I think there's a lot more attention to detail and what people might call like true hip hop. I think there's a lot of true hip hop fans in the Indian scene.
Right. So in the beginning, I was also not expecting any story behind this album. But now when you shared this idea, like it excites me more to listen to the album now.
Bro, I think you're really going to enjoy it. And it was really fun working on the interludes as well. And although they are not from any old movie, that we recorded them. There's a new story we wrote, we recorded, we did the music for it. It sounds like it's from an old Bollywood film. And we did a lot of work on the instrumentation behind the interludes as well. Wow. To give it this authentic, sounds like a old movie sample kind of thing. And that's fun, because it gives me a chance to do my cinematic thing as well, and sort of sneak that into the album.
Yeah, and I think because of that, like wider audience are going to relate to the album as well, because it's not just the kind of hip hop that we are used to in India. Maybe in the interlude, if we get the taste of it, then that is also something which will drive the listeners to get hooked to the album.
For sure. I think it gives you a good reason to listen to it, the whole thing, as opposed to just individual songs. Some of my favorite hip hop albums were like that, like Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest. There was a little voice that would sort of guide you through each song and make you feel like the sun is coming down, you're going into the nighttime, and it's like if somebody plays the sound of rain, you start to feel chills down you. So hopefully we can have that sort of effect on you to put you into this world and make you sink into this world.
Wow. So this is your first time working with Mass Appeal India as well, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So how was the experience with like this Indian team? What do you think?
Yeah, they're great. I mean, the Mass Appeal team cares a lot about the hip hop scene. They're very involved. My friend Rambir who's here, he's very aware of the scene and helps clue me into things that I'm not aware of. And I couldn't be more happy. It's been a great team.
So was there any like restrictions from the team, or they were like fully supportive? Like you just share the idea, you and your team share the idea, and they were just trying to like help you to get the things done. How was it?
Yeah, it was like that. There were no restrictions. Everybody's, we started out our relationship with them being really happy with the music. We didn't get together until a lot of the music was made. So we didn't have to, argue about the music. The music was already well on its way, and they were happy with it. And that's why we formed the relationship. There are small things, suggestions that they had. And I think all the suggestions have been beneficial, and ideas for in the few places where we needed some additional artists, helping me learn about guys that I didn't know about who might be a good fit for the album. Yeah, they've just been really helpful. And I wouldn't say there's been any restrictions at all. Yeah, it's only been sort of additive and helpful.
So maybe in future, we can see more of your collabs with the Mass Appeal team, right? If possible.
Yeah, of course.
So, Kashmir, do you have planned any tours related to the promotion of the album? If yes, then what can fans expect from these tours? Like, will there be featured artists? Or like, are you guys thinking of anything?
Absolutely. I want to do a show around the launch of the album that gets as many of the artists from the album together as it possibly can.
Wow, man.
In terms of a tour, it's a lot of people to sync up and to get on the same page. Right. But we're going to see what's possible. And regardless of how many guest appearances I'm able to do, I'll 100% do a tour around the album. And it might be a city by city thing who's able to come, join.
Awesome. So, Kashmir, I have this question, like, when it comes to setting industry standards or doing the new things, you are one of the guy who everybody looks up to. I'm saying this because since the Cataract days, you don't follow any footsteps. You just do what you feel like. That's what I have seen, because you told your parents that to give you 1 year to make in music, you did that. And then suddenly you talk to your team and you talk that I want to start a Kashmir thing, and you did that very well. So like there's always this instinct in your heart that you try to follow, or there's a very core team which is always behind your back and always helping you to get the idea out. Like, how does it work with you?
So I'm glad that you see it that way. Honestly, throughout my career, there have been a lot of instances where I found myself trying to emulate other people, copy the people that, I was inspired by. But the best decisions were the decisions that you're describing, where I just followed my heart and jumped into something, not really knowing how to do it, but just knowing that the passion was there. So like you mentioned, the Cataracts, like the Cataract sound that got big on Like a G6 was really just the hip hop sound that we grew up with, that was really focused on 808s. And my signature at the time was distorting my 808s. And that became Like a G6. And in the case of Kashmir, when things were winding down with the Cataracts and my partner left the group, I knew I needed a new chapter to jump into something and take a big risk. And it's like Jim Carrey said, I think his dad went his whole life doing a job he didn't really love, and he got fired after all these years.
He was a very, very funny man, but he never realized that he is that funny, and that's why he never tried to do something different.
Yeah, he did some job that he didn't like doing, and then after 30 years, 40 years, they let him go, and he was left with nothing. And so Jim Carrey said, you could fail at doing something that you don't love, so you might as well fail at something that you do.
Yeah.
So it's mentality. Going into Kashmir, I was like, well, I might as well just make a project that's really exciting to me, and it could flop, but at least I'll be excited about it. And that's been the mentality that I'm in when I make my best decisions. And I think, or I hope, going into this hip hop album is going to be another one of those decisions. Yeah.
Man, you know what? There's so much that you have done which people dream of, but then too, you just want to do some new stuff in every year or two. You do something new. So like, what is the drive? Like, what is the motivation? now when we have all the things?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I need to explain what the drive is of doing something new. We all feel it, we all want to do something new and have variety in our life. And especially like I was telling you about my career as Kashmir, in the beginning, I was just making so much music and I kept up that pace for years and years. And I made so many dance songs that are very club friendly. And, it's just a lot. I did so much of that, and doing something new reminded me why I love making music. When something is fresh, when something is new and it's challenging and it's not territory that you've covered 100 times, it's just exciting, and you have to keep it exciting for you. If you don't, then people sniff it out. They can tell you're not excited about it, and then why the hell do they want to be excited about it? That's true in any profession, or any profession that's public facing, where you have a relationship with a fan base. You need to stay excited, and if you keep on finding new things to be excited about, then people will come along with you. You might lose some people who aren't interested in this new thing that you do, but you're only gonna truly fail if you keep trying to do something just because it worked and you're scared of what it might mean to do something new. You'll for sure fail if you do that. So trying something new is really the only way to survive, and doing something that you're passionate about is how you're going to do the best at it.
So I ask you this question because I'm sure that a lot of producers from India are going to watch this video, because I know what you have done for the producer community. This question is for all the producers out there, that now the listeners have very less time to listen to music, and there's just so much music out there. What would be your advice to producers, that how they can build a active fan base or a loyal fan base? How they can do that?
Well, for starters, I think you have to think about what your sound is going to be, and really what you're trying to represent to people. As complicated as I am, I got in the door for some fairly simple reasons. I had a vision in the early stages of Kashmir to do cinematic mixed with dance music. And it wasn't genius. I mean, cinematic film score type stuff already existed and dance music already existed, but it was maybe a novel idea to put those two together. So that was sort of the pointed edge of my blade to get me in. And from there, the blade can open, and you can introduce people to a wider range of interests that you have, genres that you want to create. But in the beginning, the blade should be fairly sharp. And I think with your music, you need to figure out how to package everything that you are into a pretty sharp blade, deliver that over and over again, and you poke through with it, and you poke through with it, and until it cuts through, and then you open people up to the rest of you. But it's important, I think, in the beginning to have a specific idea that you want to represent to people, that you want people to go to you for, and you don't need to overthink it. It could just be combining two things that you enjoy that maybe people haven't put together before, and that could be the basis of what you do in the early stages. And from there, you develop and you open up. But if you really want to simplify it, I would say think about your personality, because we all have different interests. Think about two things that interest you that maybe others wouldn't have put together before, and use that as a starting point.
Okay. Yeah. So Kashmir, we are coming to the end of this session now.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to tell fans, like what should they be waiting for? What are the things, anything that you want to share with the fans?
You should be waiting for the album Karam, and for Haath Varthi, which is coming out this Friday. And that's it. If you take anything away from this, I hope it's that. And and I look forward to seeing everybody taking the story from the album and getting the feedback and knowing what they think of it, and I can't wait for the people to hear that album as a whole.
Yeah. give them something. Give them one thing because of which they should be excited for. Something which you haven't shared as of now in the session. The last thing that you really want, that you think will ring the bell in their ear.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is a second song with MC Stan. I'm not sure if people know that.
Oh my God, nobody knows about this. Oh my God, really? Oh my, so this is going viral, everybody. So this is going on internet now. There's another song, MC Stan and Kashmir. Yes, please continue. You were saying something.
Oh, that's it. I already said too much. So there you go.
Okay, Kashmir. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, brother. Nice talking to you. It's been a great interview, man.
See you. Thank you very much.
Guys, down below in the comments, let me know what you think, what you're most excited about with this album, what you thought of the interview, were there things that you didn't know that you found out? I want to hear about it, and we'll be commenting back, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.